What's going on, everybody? This is Lady Luck here again. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, you guys see the title? We have another true crime story that we're going to touch on in this video. This is regarding a 92-year-old man who was found guilty of rape and murder in a 1967 cold case. So, we're going to get into a video and an article that goes over the case and check out the video of him being basically convicted. And he's 92. So, first, make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. We are growing here in the Lady Luck Club. Thank God for that. And I am excited that you guys are wanting to become a part of the LLC and tune into this great content, information that you guys need to know, go over legal complaints and court filings and lawsuits. And we speak on true crime. We speak on as well as air and engineering disasters. I've done a video earlier today on the Air India 171 crash updates. So we have some additional content coming out on Eligio Bishop as well. Lots of content here that all kind of stem back to, the reporting and research that I enjoy doing and being able to share and discuss with you all. So consider becoming a member as well. Have member exclusive live streams and lawsuit filings that you cannot find on the internet that I do have available in the members only channel. So thank you guys for supporting me here. We're going to get to it. I want to first start off with the video, and this is going to be from WION. This is, in this day and age of advanced technology, a lot of cold case murders are starting to, you know, get solved with DNA. Um, it's a shame that a lot of, you know, murders that occurred, prior to this advancement went cold. And they basically had to work with the evidence that they had at the time. But now they have the ability to do DNA matches, and I'm just intrigued at this case. And I want to shout out to one of my supporters here in the LLC that sent me this information. This man is 92 and he's going to be spending the remainder of his life in prison. So let's get to it. You guys make sure you check out WION, and um, it's not that long. It's I think it's like a 4-minute video, and then we're going to get to the article that kind of dives into a little bit more of this information. But this is wow, 92, 58-year-old crime. So if they can solve a 58-year-old crime, just imagine, how much more can be done now with the advancement in technology. So either way, let's go.
In UK's Bristol, a 92-year-old man has been found guilty of rape and murder. But the crime was not committed in recent times, and this is no ordinary story. It is believed to be UK's oldest cold case, which has finally been solved. Let's go back to 58 years ago when the crime was actually committed. June 28, 1967. The crime scene is in eastern Bristol. Louisa Dunn has been found dead on her living room floor by a neighbor. Postmortem reveals the cause of her death as strangulation and asphyxiation. A swab tested positive for semen, which then confirmed that she has also been raped. Police subsequently go on a manhunt. They collect 19,000 prints from men and boys at the time. Officials conduct a thorough search. They knock on doors of 8,000 houses and record over 2,000 statements. For 1 year, investigators continued their search and scanned every inch within a 1.5-mile radius of the victim's home. Police have very little forensic evidence. All they have is a partial left palm print on the frame of an upstairs window. But the killer is not found. At the time of the crime, Ryland Headley, then in his 30s, is living in Montpellier, just outside the 1.5-mile radius that is under police scrutiny.
Wow.
The case goes cold. 10 years later, in the late 1970s, another manhunt begins. Now this time, the case is of 2 elderly women being raped at night in their homes. Police fingerprint 5,000 men within just 1 month. And this time, Ryland Headley is caught. He pleads guilty to the rapes. Headley's modus operandi reveals that he targets homes of elderly and middle-aged women. But till now, he is not linked to the murder case back from 1967. Lack of a national digital database back then makes it impossible for investigators to connect
It seems like they were able to get him on the 2 counts of the rape charge because of the fingerprints, but is I'm wondering that they have the ability to have different agencies connect back then to where they could, share the evidence in real time here. Because if they connected it on fingerprints, I'm just curious why they didn't run his fingerprints against the fingerprints that had been collected on the murder charge. But for Louisa Doone's home, I'm just curious as to why that wasn't done in the 70s. But let's get to it.
the dots. It is only in 2023 that a cold case review brings the murder back under spotlight. The New Age investigators find all the evidence and statements very well maintained, but one key piece of evidence catches a forensic expert's eye. It is the skirt which Louisa Dunn was wearing when she was killed. Forensic scientist Andrew Parry studied the
Oh
past
wow!
investigation and crime scene photographs. He then identified a piece of the skirt that might still have traces of the killer's semen on it. What do you
Wow!
know? He finds a match. The killer, as per the database, is still alive. You see, even half a century later, and with all the available technology, timing in this case is still of essence. Ryland Headley's DNA sample was registered in the database in 2012 after he had been questioned in an alleged assault case. All this time, he avoided giving a palm print by telling officers that he, in fact, had arthritis. Otherwise,
Wow!
the partial
Okay,
print found
that's why, because he did not give the thumbprint, and then he claimed to have arthritis. What does that have to do with a print? But it is amazing to see how long the semen data, I mean, the DNA evidence was left on her skirt. You're talking about over 4 decades later, and the DNA was still there and valid to be tested. Y'all, science is something else. Okay, science is something else, and we thank God for it because they were able to catch him. He's caught charges and stuff. He's just a horrible person. He's exactly where he needs to be. Despite age, it does not excuse the criminal behavior. It doesn't. He had no right to take anyone's life.
at the crime scene in 1967 would have been a clear match. After all the investigation, court has now convicted the 92-year-old killer. But investigators now wonder if Headley had more victims. Could other
Wow.
cold cases of the UK be connected to him? For whosoever remains in Louisa's family like her granddaughter, this is closure. For investigators and crime enthusiasts, it is a reminder to let no case remain unsolved. Because
Hmm.
somewhere, on some day, an evidence or statement may just trigger a breakthrough.
Wow. That was amazing. I'm so glad that they were able to get that DNA and actually utilize that to run through the system. And it is sad to know that, all these years, um, and the idea that he might have more victims. I mean, all these years, and he's finally caught. But the DNA that's left on her skirt after decades. Hopefully, they do, run the DNA sample through the system, and then look at other cold cases to see if there's a match. And then it comes down to the fact that they had to get the DNA from the skirt, so a lot of the DNA may not even be registered. But either way, this is a CBS News article on, of course, 92-year-old convicted of woman's 1967 murder, solving one of UK's longest running cold cases. 92-year-old man was convicted of rape and murder of a woman in southwestern England in what is thought to be UK's longest running cold case ever to be solved. A jury at Bristol Crown Court found Ryland Heatley, then aged 34, guilty of attacking 75-year-old Louisa Dunn in June 1967. She was 75 in 1967. Goodness gracious. So she was born in late 1890s. Yeah. Wow. He was sentenced to life in prison on Tuesday. Louisa Dunn died in a horrifying attack carried out in the place where she should have felt safe as her own home. Prosecutor Charlotte Riam said, for 58 years, forgive me if I'm saying the names wrong, this appalling crime went unsolved, and Ryland Heatley, the man we now know is responsible, avoided justice. Dune was found dead in her home by a neighbor on June 28, 1967. The night of her death, neighbors reported hearing a woman's frightening scream. The BBC reported cause of her death was found to be strangulation and asphyxiation. She was also raped. It is one of the oldest cold cases ever to be solved in UK. Heatley was sentenced to life with a minimum term of 20 years at Bristol Crown Court in southwest England on Tuesday. After passing sentence, Judge Derek Sweeting told Heatley, "You will never be released. You will die in prison." Investigators, it's something that more judges should just say. Despite the age, you committed a horrific crime and you just simply got away with it for this long until now. Would it make a difference if he was 32, 52, 72, or 92? It shouldn't make a difference. He should still answer to the crime. She was 75 in 1968, in 67 or 68. 75 years old. Like, she's not bothering anybody. So that's what makes it more heinous to me. It's you're talking about preying on someone in her age at 75 who probably would not have been able to put up a good fight, and he was 34. Oh God. Investigators retained Dune's clothing, including a blue skirt, and other samples from her body for further examination. They also recovered a palm print from a window, which Heatley is believed to have used to gain entry to her home. Despite the efforts of police investigating Dune's death 58 years ago, no key suspect was identified. Police collected about 19,000 prints from men and boys at the time with no success. In 2023, the case was re examined and the skirt was sent away for forensic testing in May last year. DNA recovered from the item of clothing linked Heatley to the murder scene after his DNA was added to the national database in 2012 for an unrelated incident. So he didn't want to give up a fingerprint because of arthritis, but they did get the DNA evidence through the semen on the skirt. Yeah. So he couldn't avoid this at all. Heatley was convicted, and I'm just kind of skipping down a little bit here. Heatley was convicted of 2 counts of murder in the late 1970s after he attacked women aged 79 and 84 in Ipswich. He pleaded guilty to the charges in 78 and was jailed for 7 years. He only got 7 years for attacking a 79 and 84-year-old woman. Come on. All but one of the trial witnesses in the case died, according to CPS, so the prosecution had to rely on written accounts taken from the witnesses at the time of the murder. Testimonies of the two women were read during Heatley's 2025 trial. Hearing the voices of the victims of his 1977 offenses is just incredibly powerful and harrowing. I think it gives us an insight into probably what happened within 58 Britannia Road, Dune's home, to some degree, because witnesses were not available to give evidence in court and therefore could not be challenged on that evidence. Their statements had to be treated as hearsay evidence. So Dune's granddaughter, Mary Dainton, said she was stunned when she heard that Heatley had been arrested. "I accepted that some murders just never get solved, and some people have to live with that emptiness and sadness." Uh, I'm hoping I'm saying her last name is this last name is Marchant. Marchant said he was working with the National Crime Agency to determine whether Heatley may be responsible for any other unsolved offenses over the years. Crimes of this magnitude should never go unpunished. Well said. Never go unpunished, and we will remain relentless in ensuring we do everything we can to advance other unsolved murder cases in the Avon and Somerset area. This is exactly what needs to be the sentiment across any country you live in when it comes to these cold cases. And in cases like this, you're talking about the elderly being abused and be murdered for no reason, by someone that it just seems to be very evil and soulless and empty. And just, looking at his face, I mean, yeah, very evil person. So I'm so glad he's finally doing time. He was caught. Well done. DNA, forensic evidence, definitely can be useful in a lot of ways. We complain about AI and advanced technology, but look at the positive outcomes that it can bring, such as solving a 58-year-old, you know, 67-year-old cold case. Um, is it 58 years later? Yep. So well over 5 good decades is long enough, and justice has finally been served. And that's what, I want to be able to touch on here in the Lady Luck Club regarding these true crime stories. It is about keeping the victim's life and their story alive so that people can know who they are and remember them and remember what they lived and stood for here. So you guys make sure you hit the like button and check out the other great content in the true crime playlist here in the LLC. There is more to come. Thank you so much for your support. Subscribe. We are growing. Consider becoming a member and share the content. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.